flooding brought about by torrential rain in the Eastern Cape has submerged houses in the community of Mthatha. 2 people were reported to be hanging onto trees, hanging above a river while trying to get to safety. They've been in that spot since 6 this morning. They've been crying for help. The flooding started overnight. Fundisa Mhlekude is in Mthatha for us and brings us the very latest. Good afternoon, Fundisa. Just share with us the very latest coming out of that community. 2 individuals have been holding on to trees.
We are at Decoligny, just outside Mthatha, along the R61 on the way to Ngobo. Many houses are submerged in water, and there's 2 children who are trapped inside this river, and 2 of them are up the tree and they are calling for help. Help is urgently needed here. We are calling on emergency officials or emergency teams to come and rescue these children. On our way here, we saw many people from Decoligny, and I can say that all people from this area had their houses are submerged in water, and they are on the way to the R61 road where they are looking for help. And as we are now speaking to one of the people from Decoligny who will be telling us what exactly happened. Budwam utwena kwenzeke ntoni apha?
Yesisi thina sibone imvula enenge ngelona hlobo limangalisayo imini yonke yayizolo nobusuku bonke obusubuvukayo. Eziba sizobona namhlanje izindlu zabantu azibonakali zidade emanzini. Xa silvayo kikhwelo xa sibonayo naba abantwana babantu but basaphila, but into esicelayo ke ngoku sesicela nje uncedo olukhawulezileyo for uba baze bazotakulwa. Bakhona nabanye basavaleleke ezindlini apho singenokwazi ungena sijonge into ubana ngaba basaphila na okanye abaphili, but into esicela kurhulumente into makasondele ngeneno azohlangula le miphefumulo siyibonayo ikhalayo icela uncedo. Thina singabahlali balapha eZwelandile asikwazi uba singangena kulo mlambo ngohlobo ogcwele ngalo.
Niyibone nini lento abantu abakhwele emithini nezindlu ezingene emanzini? Nibone ebusuku kanye apha ekuseni?
Kuba apha eMthatha West apha eZwelandile sinazo igroup for ulungiselela into uba omnye xa isengxakini akwazi ukhala. Apha ekuzeni kokusa phaa kwi-bus 4 ukhona usisi oye wafaka egroupini ocelayo sithi amanzi ayangena kuye endlini. Xa sivukayo ngokukhawuleza ke kuya phaa ko-6 siyabona naba abanye bayakhala babhabhe emithini esingaziyo ukuba bebephuma kweziphi izindlu ngoba zonke izindlu apha zitshone emanzini azibonakala.
Nilucelile uncedo ke ngoku abasemagunyeni?
Sizamile ufonela umasipala walapha eMthatha kuba singenalwazi oluphangeleleyo. Samcela into ubana ngaba umeya makacela abantu abasemagunyeni for uba bakwazi uzotakula aba bantu. Sisalindile ke njengoba usibona sime kule ndawo.
Iye yathini impendulo kulo muntu obumfonela?
Impendulo uthe bakhona abasebethunyelwe ngoba akho lapha eZwelandile kuphela ngoba kuthiwa nasesilovo kunje njengoba nathi sikhala kule ndawo.
Enkosi Budwam, siyabulela kakhulu. This is one of the residents of Decoligny saying that around 4 this morning they have a WhatsApp group, and around 4 someone posted on the group saying that her house is submerged in water, and as soon as they heard that, they tried to call disaster teams from the OR Tambo municipality, but up to now nothing has happened. And as you can see, we received a call from someone crying frantically saying that people or houses are submerged in water, and as you can see there are these 2 children who are trapped inside the river and they are up the tree. Back to studio.
All right, that was my colleague, SABC News reporter Fundisa Mhlekude a bit earlier on. But as stated a bit earlier as well, there is a bit of a signal issue. So as soon as we'll be crossing live to her to just bring us the very latest on that very worrying situation. But still on that situation in the Eastern Cape, we're now joined by the department spokesperson, Sizwe Kupelo. Good afternoon, Mr. Kupelo. Thank you very much for joining us on Point. Those visuals quite disturbing. We understand that 2 young children been hanging on since 6 a.m. crying for help. What is the very latest, at least from your vantage point?
Disturbing indeed. What I can tell you is that we are pulling all stops to ensure that we save those lives. We have mobilized more resources. We've got teams coming from Toreka and East London, heading to Mthatha to assist our teams on the ground. But I can tell you now that our teams on the ground have just rescued a number of residents on the other side of the river. They're trying to move to the other side to come to the aid of other desperate residents. The difficulty we have at the moment is those that are trapped in the tree. We were trying to check if we can use our chopper, but unfortunately due to weather, we cannot immediately do that. But our teams are also consistently monitoring that. But we are doing everything in our power to ensure that we save as many lives as possible. Earlier in the day, a principal from a nearby Mkanduli, whose vehicle plunged into a river, was successfully saved. So we continue with these operations. And as I say, we're pulling all stops. The department is working with all other stakeholders. We are working with provincial disaster management services, and they are also assisting in interacting with the army so that more resources can be mobilized so that those residents can be rescued.
I want to take you back to this specific one now pertaining to the two individuals that are hanging onto trees. If you're saying there's a complication around the chopper right now, not being able to get there because of the adverse weather conditions, how else can they be rescued? Because since 6 a.m., that's exactly 6 hours now.
Within our emergency services from the Department of Health, we've got specialized teams. And those teams are already heading to Mthatha for that mission. But the attempt from the colleagues on the ground was to rescue those that are trapped in the tree. But unfortunately, the option at that moment was the chopper. But we've got specialists that are heading to Mthatha to try and come to their rescue.
And how far off are they? Because the biggest fear now is that the community will be left to its own devices and we could have lives lost in that respect, because they'll probably try some rope system or something that could happen now, because it's been 6 hours and these are family members of certain people.
We are doing everything in our power to minimize any loss of life. We want to save lives. So we are moving with speed to ensure that we come to the rescue of everyone who is in desperate need. As I've just mentioned, there are a number of residents who were in a similar situation who have just been saved, and our teams are moving to the other side. There are a number of villagers that are trapped in that flooded dam.
Did you anticipate, though, this level of distress calls, and are you adequately prepared?
We are adequately prepared. We've put our emergency teams in strategic points, focusing mainly on the areas that were expected to experience snow. And calls and cautions were made by government to residents to be cautious. So we were prepared in as far as the department in terms of ensuring that resources are deployed strategically. So at this stage, I am satisfied with how we have responded to the situation and how we are currently putting more resources in place to ensure that we save those residents.
Sizwe, thank you very much for speaking to us. I'm sure as the day progresses, my colleagues will touch base with you just to find out the very latest development. That's Eastern Cape Department spokesperson Sizwe Kupelo. They're just speaking to us pertaining to specifically even these two young children who are still hanging on trees since 6 a.m. It's 6 hours and counting, but of course he's indicated there that emergency personnel are on their way to assist those. But of course choppers at this point cannot be availed because of the adverse weather conditions.